What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for Queens Season 1, Episode 10. So, we open this episode up. We have Zanny, Lady Zanny, um, on stage with Naomi, and they're performing a song that they did in the studio, that they got together in the studio. And they're on stage performing, and while they're performing, we're kind of seeing them doing interviews and stuff. And they've got the record label off. They're having this big launch party at the Staples Center, but this was just sort of like a performance to get their feet wet, for people to get, for people to kind of get used to them again. And the show was packed. Like, there's a whole lot of people there. And in the middle of the song, Lady Z looks up and she sees Frank Black, the guy that she said assaulted her, the guy that was her first producer. So we see later on, she freezes up, walks off stage, and that's pretty much that. And so we see her with Eric, Naomi, and Lil Debbie Snack. They're talking, and she's saying, "Listen, look, I froze. I'm sorry, I can't believe that he still gets to me like that. I can't believe that, I still allow him to get to me like that. But, I'll be okay for the performance. I just got to figure it out." And, Naomi is like, "Well, can't we do something about it? Can't we do something about it?" And Eric was like, "What you want us to do? Like, we're getting ready to launch an indie label. Ain't nobody got time for that. Like, we getting ready to launch this indie record label. We can't piss off one of the biggest producers in the industry." And Naomi was like, "Whatever that, well, we gotta do what we gotta do." And Lil Debbie Snack was like, "Well, first of all, we can't press charges because the statute of limitations is up." She said, "And anyway, Frank was my first producer. He put me on, and I didn't put myself in a position, to have anything happen to me." And so, then Lady Z goes off on her, and she like, "Hold up. Don't do that. Don't blame the victim. Don't come for me, because you don't know me. You don't know my story. You don't know my struggle. So don't come for me, because I ain't sent for you, okay?" I said, "Oh, here we go." Now, I knew then that the girl was lying. I don't know how I knew she was lying, but child, I knew she was lying. So then we see fake J-Lo and her new man. Now they got to get to know each other, because they got married after knowing each other for one day. And Valeria is like, "Well, how do I know you're not a serial killer?" He was like, "How do I know you're not a serial killer?" And she was like, "We haven't even said that we love each other." He was like, "Well," and she was like, "Don't say it. Don't say it." And she said, "This is just crazy. This is crazy." He was like, "You're absolutely correct. It was absolutely crazy." But he was like, "Well, we got one of these." He was like flipping through a magazine. And y'all know how when y'all was kids and y'all used to read the magazines and they would have like those quizzes in them. And he said, "Well, you're in luck. Here's a quiz here to find out if you're really in love," or something like that. And it was 50 questions. And they go through all 50 questions, and they had a good time, right? It was a moment. They had a good time. But Valeria was still like, "This is crazy. Like, I'm vain, and I'm this and I'm that. Like, my acts of love are gifts." He was like, "My acts of love, what is it? What do they call it? Acts of love. Y'all know what I'm saying. Love language. That's it. Love language." She was like, "My love language is gifts." He was like, "My love language is words of affirmation." Like, everything was the total opposite for them. And so when they got to the end of it, she was just like, "This is just crazy. Like, we don't have anything in common. We don't think the same, And he was like, "But listen, what I do know is that I love you. Like, at the end of the day, I love you." Now, last week, I don't know if I said this in my review or not last week, but we went through this whole thing with her not being honest with him about her mom. Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. About her mom, and then her having to like admit to him that she lied about having a family, that her mom is dead, she doesn't really have any family. And he was like, "It's okay, I got enough family for both of us, and they're gonna be happy to meet you." So, like, Valeria, girl, open yourself up, get used to it. It's okay, girl, it's okay. So then later on in the episode, she's avoiding him. She's not going home. She's just decided that she's gonna have to divorce and annul the marriage. And they were like, "Why would you do that? Like, girl, you made a crazy mistake, but you already made the mistake. I mean, you made a crazy decision, but you already made the decision now. Now you got to make it work. Like, don't give up so easily, because that's what you always do." And the rest of them know that that's what she has a tendency to do, is pushing people away and pushing away the best things that she have in her life, right? So, um, then we see her talking to Eric. And she ends up trying to like seduce Eric. And Eric was like, you know what? I'm not going to let you do this. Like, I care about you too much to let you throw away this relationship because you're scared. He was like, I know your MO, and you really ain't trying to get with me. You're just trying to sabotage this situation. And while I'm glad that the husband didn't walk in while they were like getting ready to kiss, because Eric didn't kiss her, but it looked like they was about to kiss. But when he walked in, they did look like they was kind of cozy, and he was like, "What's going on here?" And Eric said, "Listen, y'all need to talk." And so they do talk, and he tells her, he says, "Listen, you're not gonna get rid of me that easily. Like, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna make it work. And yes, it's gonna be work, and it's not gonna be easy because we did kind of do this backwards. But I know what love looks like because I've been in love before, and I know that I love you. Like, that's just it." And so, listen, I'm rooting for them because Lord knows Valeria need a win, child. She need a win. So then we see Jill. Jill done went to church, and we see this deacon up on. Now, I grew up Catholic, so I understand what it is, right? As far as the deacon and all of that. So after church is over, she goes back behind and she says, "Hey, deacon." And the deacon slaps the dog shit out of her. Come to find out, it's her daddy. And she was like, "Sorry, daddy." So later on in the episode, we see her talking to her father. And her father is, basically telling her that she's a disappointment. He said, basically defending her husband, saying, "Listen, I'm not saying that he's, I'm not defending the fact that he tried to kill somebody, but how do you think it made him feel? How do you think it made us feel to find out that you gay on national television? Like, that wasn't a way of doing that." And he told her, he said, "You're a selfish person. Like, you make selfish decisions." And and she was kind of taking it all in, and he was like, "You never come home anymore." And she was like, "Well, it's been kind of hard on me since mom died. Like, it's just been, it's been kind of hard on me to come home." And he was like, "Yeah, well, you should come home more often." So they're supposed to get together and have dinner. So she goes by his hotel room, and baby daddy is drunk. I mean, all kinds of empty bottles all over the place. I mean, drunk. And his real feelings come out because, a drunk man's words are a sober man's thoughts. And he tells her that he misses her, that he misses her mom, that he loved her, that, that he's sorry that he wasn't always a good father to her. And she was like, "It's okay, daddy. You did the best you could. I know you meant well." Like, they had a whole moment, right? Even to the point where, I think those were all the things she needed to hear from him. And she ended up staying with him that night, staying in his hotel with him. So the next morning, she's like, "Yes, we," like, thinking that they really did something, right? They really had a moment. They really came to some sort of conclusion. And baby, he was right back to where he started and told her she was a disappointment. And, actually, he was meaner to her than he had been the day before. And I think that's when it hit her. She was like, "Okay, you know what? I'm never going to get the man that I need. I'm never going to get the father that I want. And you know what? It's okay. I'm okay with that now." And she told him, she said, "Listen, I don't need to live up to your standard. I don't need to live up to what you think is right or wrong for me. I love who I am. I love the woman that I've become. And you know what? This is it. You ain't going to see me no more. I don't come home because I don't want to see you. I don't want to deal with you." She said, "And let me tell you something else. If you ever put your hands on me again, it's going to be a problem." I said, "Okay, Jill." And she left up out of there, baby. Now, while all of this is going on, I just went on and had to give y'all the side stories. Let's get back to this main story. While all of this is going on, child, Naomi and Eric are at a restaurant. Frank comes in, and, Frank and Eric, they dapping each other up, and he like, "Yo, man, I'm going to come and check you out at the Staples Center." He was like, "I see you doing your thing," and blah, blah, blah. Like, they dapping it up. And Naomi is looking at Eric like, "Are you serious right now? Like, you..." Like, you know who this man is. You know what he did to Z. And you sitting here dapping him up or whatever. And he had one of his women with him. He introduced her as his new protege. That her up and coming. And of course, I'm sure she was thinking, Naomi was thinking, she about to be the next victim. And Eric tells her, he said, "Listen, I'm just keeping things cordial. I'm just playing the game. Like, I'm just playing the game, okay?" And she tells him, she was like, "See, that's part of the problem." But Naomi is on a crusade, child. Naomi is going to save the world. So she ends up finding old footage on YouTube, and she finds one of Frank's old proteges, and you could see in her face something wasn't right at the, like, they were, out and having like a press conference or whatever, and you could see something didn't look right in her face. So Naomi reached out to her and invited her over to talk to her, and she was like, "Oh my goodness," she said, "I kept waiting for somebody to reach out to me." She was like, "I never thought it would be you, but I kept waiting for somebody to call me." And Naomi was like, "Well, what's going on? Like, what's the deal?" And she told the story of, she was his protege, and one night, basically, he had sex with her, he raped her. She said that she was underage at the time, and a couple of weeks later, she found out she was pregnant. She said he started avoiding her phone calls and he wouldn't talk to her. She finally had to just pull up on him at a party, and when she pulled him aside and told him that she was pregnant, he gave her $2,000 and said, "Take care of it." Well, she had a little son with him, so she didn't take care of it because she had the baby. Well, she took care of it. She took care of the baby, right? So Naomi is like, "Oh my goodness, oh my goodness." So she goes to Lady Z and she convinces Lady Z to do an interview and to tell her story. She said, "Listen, I'm going to reach out to a friend of mine. She's going to do right by us. She's going to tell your story the way it needs to be told. Trust me." So Lady Z does. She tells her story, and we find out that, she was at the studio one night. They were working. She fell asleep on the couch. She woke up. He was taking her clothes off, and he said to her, "If you ain't want this to happen, why did you fall asleep on the couch?" And I'm like, that don't even make no damn sense. That logic don't even make no sense, but okay. And she started fighting back. She said, and she just kept fighting until she could get away from him. She ran home, and she said it wasn't even until she got home that she realized that she had broke his jaw. She said the police showed up at her house and arrested her. She said, I got raped and arrested in the same night. And she said that basically they struck a deal that as long as she didn't repeat the story, he would drop the charges. But she said after she agreed to it, next thing she knew, her record label dropped her, and pretty much nobody will work with her because he had blackballed her. And so she just decided to just, go on about her business because she basically has sort of given up the right to tell her story, she felt like. So, the woman tells them, that the reporter says, and it's a black woman, tells them, "You know what, I'm going to tell your story, thank you for sharing." So the next morning, Naomi is all happy. She's skipping around because she know the story is going to come out. But when the story hits, the story is written from the angle of Lady Z is making up this story about Frank in order to give her a storyline for her comeback. And it's basically written as if Lady Z is using the Me Too movement to her advantage, and it's not real. So of course, Lady Z is upset. She blames Naomi, tells her stay out her business. You was getting all in something that wasn't your business, and and of course Naomi feels bad because she did. She wouldn't let it go, and Lady Z was like, "I'm sorry that I ever signed with you. I'm sorry that I ever let you get me into this, and I'm done. I'm not doing the showcase. It's a wrap for me." And while they're having this argument, once again, we see little Debbie Snacks over in the corner, and I was like, see, she got a whole story to tell. Now, she ain't gonna tell it yet, but she got a whole story to tell. So later on, we see little Debbie at the studio with Lady Z. Lady Z is packing up her stuff because she said she done with it, and Little Debbie ends up telling her story. She tells her, she said, listen, Frank did my first mixtape. And he assaulted me as well. And she told the story of, you know, basically, you know, when he came on to her and he basically made it seem like this what you got to do. And so he assaulted her. And she said that he had already done her mixtape, and she was so disgusted by the whole thing that she never talked to him again. But the mixtape is basically what got her to her record deal, which basically put her on, and so she sort of felt like she owed him, and that's why she didn't say anything. And Naomi was like, well, why did you like make it seem like I was a liar or that you didn't believe my story? Like, why did you do that? And she was like, self-hate, denial, you know, like me having to accept my own demise, my own situation. Like, it you know, was really a lot of that. And so they decide, she said, listen, you got to tell your story. Like, I'll stand with you. I have your back. So they ended up writing a song that told the story of what happened to her. And of course, they performed it at the Staples Center. So everybody was there together except for Professor Sex, because we know Eve somewhere on the beach having her baby child. And they go on stage, baby, and they perform. And Frank is there. He in the audience, and of course he looking around the whole time, like, why they? Because of course the more she tells the story, the more he knows they talking about her. Well, come to find out, 3 more women have come forward to tell their story, and baby, they end up taking Frank out of there in handcuffs, baby. And of course, it was like that cautionary tale of the industry and how these producers take advantage of these young girls. So it was a good episode. It was a really, really good episode. I was here for it. Anyway, that was it. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Talk to y'all later. Peace.